Yo, 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 yo.
Yo, how are you?
What's happening? Happy Thursday.
Yes, sir. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna do this light thingy.
Yeah, do the light thingy. We need the light thingy for sure. So, what I was telling everyone was how we met. And through GoBundance, and GoBundance assigns everyone to these different GoPods. My GoPod originally started out, there was four of us, we met. And there was one guy right away who, there's two other guys, Doug Spence and Dustin Baldwin, both military, both very accountable people. And I knew pretty instantly that it would be a good fit because one of the main reasons I joined GoBundance was to get more accountability.
Yes.
And the fourth guy who was in our GoPod to start with was didn't seem like he wanted to be too accountable. And then it was at the Park City event, I think the first event they both went to.
Yes.
And they're like, we're going to go find some other people to join our GoPod. I was like, all right, guys, I trust you guys already. And they went to go to Park City, and they came back with Diego Corzo and Brian Green, two phenomenal people that I couldn't have even picked better GoPod members to join, to be honest, because I was like, Diego Corzo, I was like, I swear I know that name from somewhere. And I was one of those people, Diego, who as soon as I found real estate, as soon as I found Bigger Pockets, I listened to every freaking episode from the very, very beginning to the end. And sure enough, that's where I remember seeing your name. I was like, damn, that's where he's from. I was like, this is going to be one of the best. I couldn't have asked for a better GoPod of people, because now we're adding two other people who are much further along than we are, both in the real estate world, both in the social media world, kind of across the board on where you guys are at. So I am so happy and so thankful that I got you in our pod, or that they got you in our pod. Yeah, super grateful for that, though.
Yeah, dude. It's been a crazy journey, and for everybody here that doesn't know, a pod is basically an accountability group of 4 to 5 abundance guys, and we're putting there. We have a call once a week at 7:30 in the morning, 7:30 Central, Wednesday, and talk about our goals. We talk about our one sheets. We share one win. What is things that we need help right now? Talk about a specific subject. It's a 1 hour call, and it's made up of like really good, badass, and yeah. So very, very thankful to be on that pod with you. And let's see what we're chatting about today, Jonathan.
Yeah, so I wanted to dive into fears, obstacles, and mindset, but not maybe necessarily what you normally go and talk about, because I know you have an awesome story, but I wanted to start out at the beginning for you, where you grew up, what your life was like growing up, what your family was like growing up, how was your relationship with your mom, your dad, your brother, and what was that like dynamic like? Because I know for me, what I had to do to kind of find that new mindset, which I know you have, was be able to really reflect on my past, to figure out where I came from, how I am who I am. Then I was able to use that awareness to triangulate to the new version of myself. So I wanted to kind of dive into like your upbringing, where you grew up, what life was like, all the nitty gritty details that maybe you haven't discussed on a regular basis.
No, for sure, and that is super important because right now I feel like usually when I talk right and stuff, it's more like, hey, the real estate stuff and everything. But today is talking about fears, limits, right? And what was the other one?
Fears, obstacles, and
Ob-
mindset.
Obstacles and mindset. Yeah. So guys, for any of you guys, if you have questions on that, let us know on the chat. Fears, obstacles, and mindset. Um, but yeah, dude, for me, as so to just share a little bit on the story. So I came from Lima, Peru. I came to the United States when I was nine years old in Lima, Peru. We came to the United States with my parents and my little brother. I was 9, my brother was 3. We moved to my aunt's house, where we lived there. We slept in a bunk bed, the four of us. for like about 3 months until we were able to rent a place. And what was interesting is we came here to the United States and we started from zero. So we came with $8,000. We had sold everything that we had in Peru. We came here with $8,000. We started our journey of the American dream, right? But we left Peru because my mom's car had just gotten stolen that same year. Uh, there was some she had her purse stolen too twice. One with like a guy with a gun and another one a guy with a knife. So she was like, you know what, this is not safe. Let's see what opportunities there are. And my dad's sister already lived in the States, so we came here. And one of the things that's interesting is we came here with a tourist visa. So after 6 months, we overstayed and we became what is known as undocumented, right? So we didn't have any papers and stuff like that. And that was like we faced that challenge growing up.
Diego, what was from 0 to 9? What do you remember about Peru and growing up there?
Dude, from 0 to 9, I remember. So we're super like family oriented. We would like weekends was always with a family. From what I remember, the first like 5 years, 4 years, we were living with my grandparents. Until then, my parents bought a small apartment, and then we lived there until we moved to the States. My dad, he went to school, and then he studied business administration, and but my dad couldn't find a job anywhere.
Really?
And he opened up a restaurant. It went good. It went well for a little bit, and then we had to close it down. Just the economy wasn't that good. And then my mom she worked at a bank for like 13 years. And then she quit that job so that she could take care of my brother and I. But what I remember, and coming into the States too, we were very family oriented. Always like weekends and everything with the family. Yeah.
Did you guys grow up playing sports or like going to after school programs? Because if you're 9, I believe that makes you in like 3rd or 4th
Third
grade,
grade.
roughly. Yeah.
Yeah. So in Peru, I did karate, and then soccer. I did karate for 2 years, and then I did soccer. That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Dude, I was kind of the same way. I played every sport you could imagine. My mom had this, knack that if I was busy playing sports, I wouldn't get into any other trouble, but that wasn't the case. I still got in tons of trouble. But yeah, playing sports was like one of the key drivers for me growing up to like really create that competitive edge and really enjoy the process of winning. And I
Yeah.
feel like, when we can almost gamify life and enjoy that process of going towards that result is when I've found the most happiness and fulfillment in my own life.
Yes. Yes.
So you got here when you were 9 then and undocumented. What was that like? Did you start to go to school right away? Was it
Yeah.
easy to get your tourist visa when you initially came? And then is the what are they called? The ICE, are they when you come as a tourist and then you don't leave, are they looking for you? Are they sending you messages? Like what is that like? I'm sure as a kid, like you don't actually really even kind of comprehend what's going on, but like what were your parents telling you? I'm so interested.
Yeah, for sure. So like we came here with a tourist visa. We overstayed. It was for 6 months. And like from what I remember, right, like as we first got started, my mom had to get a job. My dad as well worked at Peruvian restaurants. My mom got a job first, working for a gas station. Then it got to be a little bit too much for her because it was in a horrible area, and they gave her the shift of like the midnight shift. So she was
Oh,
working 11 to like 6 a.m., 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. And that was tough because it was in a bad area. So my dad would sleep outside in the car. And we had something called, like, we called our car El Tren Fantasma, which means the ghost train. because we didn't know when the car was gonna, like, if it was gonna turn on, if the windows were gonna work, if the radio or the AC was gonna work that day. We just didn't know. The car cost us $800, and it came with no seats in the van on the back. So then my dad ended up buying seats and everything for it. But so my dad would have to sleep outside, and it wasn't until later that then my mom got a job at a restaurant, and they worked at the restaurant, right? But the main thing, to answer your question, when we came here, I started school third grade, right? There is that thing of No Child Left Behind that was done by George W. Bush. So we could get subscribed to a school, and I started third grade, and my brother started pre-K or kindergarten. I mean, he started, and so we went through the education system, the school, and everything, right?
Yeah.
Throughout that journey. But what it meant when I found out, like, because like I was 9 years old, 10, and I could understand what it meant to be undocumented.
Did you speak English when you got here?
No, I learned English from scratch. I just knew a little bit of English, and I was in ESOL for 2 years. So taking English classes during school, and after 2 years, I was able to be in the regular classes, like all my friends. Which is why my reading SATs and all that stuff, I sucked. But what I was really good at was math. Right, that was
Yeah.
my yeah. So after that, as we're going through the education system and everything, and me as a child, one of the things that you get to like, as I began to learn English and my parents didn't, now they speak English, but back then, for them it was just like working at the restaurant, just working. They didn't really get to learn anything, so I began to translate the different things that we would get from school, from my parents. Everything was in English back then. So so I was a translator for the family. If we went to the bank to create a bank account, my parents, they will bring me in. So I was 9 years old, 11 translating for them. But it is, I mean, for me, it was just life. And I think that helped me mature quicker.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure. Because you were always having to talk to adults about adult stuff when you were a kid.
Exactly, right? But to answer your question too about like ice and stuff like that, we didn't, like, it wasn't really a thing. Like, don't remember getting those documents or anything. Or if we did, my parents didn't tell me that. But it was a fear that if anything happened, we could get deported. And yeah,
What year was that? Like 1996?
That was 1999, 2000.
So right before September 11th. So, which is probably a really good thing that you were here beforehand, I would think, because I'm sure it was even harder to get a tourist visa even after that.
Yes, after that, things got more complicated for immigrants from that perspective. Yeah.
That's wild. And so, what was your relationship like with friends and stuff when you got here? Did you only talk to other people who spoke Spanish? Did you make friends that spoke English right away, or what was that like?
Yeah, that's a good question. So what was interesting is, in the beginning, and we lived in Miami, so a lot of people will, I would get a lot of friends that said, hey, we don't speak English. I mean, we don't speak Spanish. But then when it got to be like Spanish class, everybody spoke Spanish. So in the beginning, they didn't want to speak to me in Spanish. I don't know why, but maybe because he's a new kid. But afterwards, it got to be okay. But in the beginning, it was a little bit tough for me to make friends. And I used to stutter a lot when I was a kid. Now I've gotten a lot better as I practice speaking more, like on stages and stuff like that. But in the beginning, and even now, I stutter sometimes, but I would get super nervous. And like, imagine trying to learn a new language and I'm already stuttering and I'm already nervous if I speak. Then it was like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't read out loud in school. I will like, when it was like the popcorn reading, I would get so nervous. But it wasn't until later, until I became more of like a teenager in college, that I actually got over that fear. Not the fear of public speaking, but I got that fear that, hey, like, let me not, let me try to not speak at all, right? And my
Yeah.
did a good job um, in putting me in positions to speak, because my dad told me, hey, you're not gonna work in the kitchen. We're gonna put you, and you're gonna be a waiter. So I was
Mm,
like, oh crap. So
yeah.
my parents pushing me to be a waiter, I got to speak to people, and that's also how I got some of my sales skills too.
Yeah, that's so awesome that they're already pushing you to be in uncomfortable situations when you're at such a young age. Because I had a similar thing too. I remember when I was in, yeah, like 2 through 6th grade, went to the reading teacher, couldn't read, like I was almost like dyslexic where I was missing words. And then also I went to the speech therapist too, like countless times. I remember her like taking the what do you call these wooden things, but they would open and put the hot chocolate stuff on the roof of my mouth so I could
Yeah,
practice the sounds, making the right sounds, because I could never quite pronounce my words right. And it's so funny how now I'm an avid reader. Like I love reading, and so it's ironic and almost counterintuitive to think a lot of the things that we had trouble with and were self-conscious about when we were younger ends up and turns out to be the same things that actually make us more successful, because of those things that happen to us. Because I love that phrase, everything happens to us, not for us, or for us, not to us. And, like your dad pushing you to go to school, me going through the reading teacher, all of those things happen to put us in our position that we're in literally right this second. Otherwise, had they not pushed you to go be the front end server, you would never be in the position you're in now, where you're public speaking to Congress or wherever you at on a
right.
regular basis. This is freaking wild. Uh,
It's
what?
crazy to think, like, to go from that shift of like having that fear of like stuttering and not like wanting to like not put myself in those positions, to then later giving TEDx talks and being in like talking with the congressman and doing press conferences. It's a huge type of shift. um but I guess at the end of the day, it comes to like as to like why that had to change, right? And getting over that, like seeing that, okay, that is an obstacle, but I do need to, but I feel like I need to share my story. I need, like, it's for a bigger purpose. And I think that when you have a bigger purpose, you can overcome those limiting beliefs that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And those limiting beliefs can like may still be there, but you just pursue it, right? And having fear, since we are talking about fear, I feel like fear for me of getting on stage or public speaking, like when I was giving that speech with the congressman, my legs were shaking. Legs were shaking, but I had to like to share that story. But the main thing to understand is that fear will probably always be there. It's just
Yeah.
you have to have the courage. That courage has to be bigger than that fear. So
Yeah, for sure.
actually take action and do the thing that we're meant to do, if you're doing it with a bigger purpose rather than just yourself.
Yeah, that's so good. What did I just hear Tim Grover say on my podcast? He's like, your actions have to be greater than your emotions, or your mindset has to be stronger than your emotions and your feelings. Because it's your emotions and feelings that keep you down usually. Because why? You're worried, what is everyone else going to think about me? And worried about getting judged and all these scary things. And the honest truth is, most people are not thinking about you, they're thinking about themselves. you know
Yes. There's
uh
also an example of like, if you, because a lot of people think like, oh, they're paying attention to me, right? Like you think that you're the epicenter of like everybody, because that's what everybody thinks, right? But there, I don't remember, I think it was Tony Robbins or somebody said, it's like, if you go to a grocery store, right, and you scream for 3 seconds, everybody's gonna look at you, for 3 seconds and go along with their lives. That's it. Like, try it. You'll scream, they'll look at you, and then continue. So it's like you're not that important at the end of the day to like everybody in the world as you think that you're the epicenter of other people's lives. So when you have that mindset, it's like, look, what I'm doing is not that important from that perspective to other people. So just like do it. If you're thinking that, oh, what are other people gonna think about me, right? If you have that as a limiting belief, just do it.
Yeah, and I love that you said that when the purpose is bigger than yourself, it makes everything so much easier. And so, what like your purpose? You know, you need to get out and share your story. Who is that for when you say that?
Well, who is it for? I believe that it is. So, it's for multiple things. This is the first time that somebody has asked me that question, so this is good. Who is it for? At the end of the day, is I felt whenever the Trump administration tried to take away DACA, right? That's when I came out as an undocumented immigrant on social media. Felt like the excuse that they used to terminate DACA was because they thought that we were stealing jobs from Americans, that we were stealing, that we're not an asset to this country. So I do it to let people that think that we're not paying tax, that we're an asset, I do it to show them that it is the complete opposite, that we are contributing to this country, that we are an asset, that even though we are undocumented, we sometimes support this so much more than people actually think. And so I did it for that. I did it because I was pissed too that that was the approach that I took into terminating it. Number two, I did it because I felt like there needed to be more of a voice, not like to show that we can accomplish so much, that we, even though we have accomplished so much, there's still so much more because we are on that pursuit of our American dream. And we have to stop living in limbo, and to help and to make sure that Congress provides a path for us to become Americans. Now, but the main reason why I needed to be a voice, or like not that I needed to be a voice, but why I came out was to show my parents, right, that like everything, that the sacrifices that they did to go to the United States, to learn a new language, to leave their family in Peru, to knowing that to come to a new country, knowing that they might never go back because we didn't know what was going to happen. I felt like that is something that needed to be shared, because I feel like even though I am called a dreamer by the United States, they are the original dreamers. They are the ones that made that sacrifice first. And then now I'm seeing the rewards because of the work ethic that they taught me. They taught me, like, they were the example for me. And then this is a way to tell them thank you.
Damn, that is so good. And again, like your purpose, so much bigger than yourself. Giving back to your parents, because there's no way you would even have the chance to be in a position you were in without them going through all of that struggle, all of those fears, all of those obstacles that they thought were bigger, you know, that they had a bigger dream. They had a bigger dream for you and for your brother, and that's why they went after it. When you, what year was it when you actually came out as being undocumented on social media? Was that before or after you were on like Bigger Pockets podcast and all that stuff?
No, so that was September. It was September 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, September 2017. I made that post on social media. It went a little bit viral, and it got me on Austin that same weekend. It got me on Forbes, CNN Money. It got me to fly out to DC to meet with congressmen. So it was just an awesome experience of what happened after that. But there was a lot of fear when I pushed that enter button. No way to go back.
Yeah. Who did you go to talk to about sharing it? Did you go to your parents? Did you go to your friends? Like who did you talk with?
It was my mom. I called my mom and I was like, look, I think like this is what I'm gonna do. What are your thoughts? because I told her, I was like, this is important. And I was like, I don't know where this is going to go, but I feel like it needs to be shared. And she was like, are you sure you want to share that on social media? Like, you know, so many people are going to be talking about it, your friends, like from high school, like family and like all this other stuff. And I was like, yes, let's go. And yeah, so.
Dude, that is so freaking amazing. Your mom has got to be so freaking proud of you.
No, she's awesome. She's
Yeah. Yeah. She has to love everything you've done and be probably the most proud mother of Peru, to be honest.
funny is like thankfully my parents they've so we like we have a really close bond, right? And even though my parents got divorced for like 2 years when I was like 15 years old,
Hmm.
they got back together. And but we have such a good bond. And what's great about this too is that not only have I like been able to achieve what I have achieved, but my brother too. So it's
Yeah.
not like I got lucky and like I was like the one that did that, but it's like two of us, right? And Ed Milet has that thing. It's like everybody has that one. Like, are
Hmm.
you?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I was like, thankfully, because of the example that my parents gave us, we have two in our family, right? Like we have two people that are contributing to this country in great ways, like in offering jobs and like creating companies and so forth, right? And yeah, because my brother, he's a badass wholesaler in Jacksonville, Florida. He's 27 now, and dude, yeah, he's super successful too.
That's amazing. When you were in high school, were
Hmm.
your friends? Because I know you were also good friends with Pascal.
Yeah.
Like, what type of friends were you around? Were you guys getting in trouble? Were you guys going out drinking? Did you do your homework every time? Like, what was
Yeah,
that atmosphere like?
that is so funny. So I was actually the student, dude. I didn't drink till I got to college. And Peruvians like to party and like really like I party with my family and dance and everything, but I didn't really drink until I got to college. I just put all my emphasis into school because I didn't want to be that burden to my family. And I'm the oldest kid, and I was like the oldest grandson, and it didn't really appeal to me, the drinking and stuff like that. I couldn't drive anywhere either, so because I couldn't get a driver's license, and I just put all my emphasis into school, into extracurriculars. I did technology student association, track, soccer, cross country.
Hmm.
I volunteered too, so I was just putting all of my emphasis in school. I graduated third in my high school class, so I was just doing work in school.
That's
But
amazing.
yeah, 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 yeah. So I didn't party or I didn't do any drugs or anything like that in high school.
That's the opposite of me.
Yeah.
I was I copied my way through high school, and I was that guy who sat behind you and it was an annoying kid every time, like, hey Diego, did you do the homework? Let me copy it. And I started drinking at a young age. I started smoking weed at a young age. I did all these things to help numb my own insecurities about who I was. And because I was always I was in like the cool group in air quotes. The cool group is not really the cool group that you think it is when you're in high school, but I was with them. But I was short. I always got picked on, always. And so then naturally, as that person who's always getting bullied, then I would almost always be bullying people back. And
Mhm.
then to numb kind of the insecurities of being the short one, the one who's picked on, I would always be drinking and I would always be smoking. And I hated smoking too because my dad smoked cigarettes. And we used to tell him, like, please quit smoking. And
Mhm.
so what do? We are our parents as we
Mhm.
grow up because as you know more than anyone, we are the five people we surround ourselves most with. Your parents, super hard workers, worked their butts off to get to where they were. That's exactly what you did in school, right? My dad, he smoked cigarettes. What did I do? I started smoking weed right away. And so it's funny now copying isn't a bad thing as an adult. It's actually a good thing. So it's come in handy for me as I've gotten older. But it took me so long to face all these insecurities and fears I had. And growing up is not easy, especially now, especially with social media, you know. And now it's like virtual bullying. It's even worse. To
Yeah.
be do you get a lot of, speaking of social media, do you get a lot of hate, a lot of social media hate through your social media?
So I used to in the beginning, especially on Facebook, when that post went viral. I got so many haters, so many messages from people saying, "Dude, if you're so smart, why have you been able to get your citizenship? If you are so successful, no matter what, you're still undocumented, you're still illegal. You should go back to Peru." Some people will be like, "You should go back to Mexico." Like they will just name different countries. I'm like, bro, I'm Peruvian, so like if you my story says I'm from Peru, I'm not from Mexico or Colombia or whatever. So but they will just say, hey, you should just go back. So I got a lot of haters from that perspective. But I feel like when you're sharing, when you're doing what's right, you do get haters. You do get other people um, like talking about you or whatever. But you know what? At the end of the day, if that is the case, I'm gonna do me and be the best version of myself. If I'm gonna get other haters, like it's their fault that I'm occupying their mind, right?
Yeah.
I'm just doing me, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't need their number one. I don't need the haters like approval on anything. I don't need the haters like satisfaction or whatever. Uh, that's right, JJ. The investor says help you become more successful. Yeah. Um, what is with Grant Cardone? He said something along the lines of like the haters just create more umph on the social
Yeah.
media, whatever, right? And dude, I mean, at the end of the day, haters gonna hate, and that is okay.
Yeah, for sure. Haters always gonna hate. And yeah, at the top, dude, if people like think of any pro sports player, people either love them or they hate them. And because it's crazy because as I've gotten older, it's like people worry so much about other people instead of worrying about themselves. You know, how about you worry about reading a book? How about you worry about doing some self improvement? How about you hate on yourself more than you hate on other people? Because it's really just a reflection of themselves when they're
Yes.
hating on you. That's what they're insecure about is themselves when people are talking bad about you. It's crazy.
Yeah, or they see themselves as a victim, and then they get jealous as to why they can't achieve what you've been able to achieve. And it's because in social media too, a lot of people just share their highlight reel, right? Like
Mhm.
you, hey, me as a realtor, oh, I closed this home, I helped this client. Great. Everybody's like, oh, Diego's such a great realtor, or congrats on that family. Diego has another closing, whoop-de-doo. Good for him, right? But they don't see that was the third home that we tried to buy, that we went under contract and we didn't do it. I showed them 30 homes. I was working nights and weekends to be able to close that deal with that family. But people see hey, we closed on a home. Awesome, right? So if people saw more of the B-roll, they'd be like, holy shit, well worth it. Congratulations on actually getting this home or getting this done, right? So a lot of people forget what's going on in the back end to be able to get that done. So some people, especially on social media, they don't see all the hustle that comes in the back end to be able to get the results that people have now. But then they hate on that result. They don't hate on the work, because if you tell them, hey, you can have what I have, you just have to go through this, and it's gonna be like this, and you're gonna lose clients, and you're gonna work for free. You'll be like, are you willing to do it? They're like, no. All right,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
So true. Yeah. Yeah. I think Jason Dries said he's like, most people, they want 10x more money, but do they want 10x more emails? Do they want 10x more time that it takes to spend working to get that amount of money? And the answer is usually no. and they just want the result. They don't want the work. And so that's like one of the huge mind shifts I've tried to make, is being passionate and obsessed with the process, not the result. And because when you love the process, it's never ending. This doesn't end until the day that we die. And I feel like that's another awesome topic to go into, is all of our greatest fears is death. And I think so often we don't normalize death as a culture. Well, how is it in the Peruvian culture? Do you guys talk about death often?
Dude, I don't think so. And I mean, with my family and stuff, we don't. Um, but we always give thanks to God. Like we always say, hey, like, thank God that we're alive, that we have an extra day. Like, we're super grateful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Christian, so we're very grateful that God gave us another day to live and to be together with the family and everything. We don't really talk much about death, and death for me, I didn't really see death until this year when my grandpa died, and I'm super happy that I got to be there in his deathbed when he passed away, and be there for him and with him and for the family. Me being like the oldest grandson, and it was it was a blessing to be there during that time. And I think that it should be talked more about it, but it hasn't come in much conversation. But I feel like once we are aware of death and of things that we can like we don't know when that's gonna happen, right? If we die tomorrow in a car crash or whatever, it just makes you be more aware that, number one, like when somebody dies, that life is short.
Mm-hmm.
What can you do to live life to the fullest? And this is something that I learned from Jim Rohn. He's like, look, if you see your parents twice a year and you think that they're going to be living for the next 10 years, you really don't have 10 more years to see your family, like your parents. Most of the time, if you only see them twice a year, you only have 20 more times to hang out with your family. To hang
Mm-hmm.
out, right? So that is like, holy shit, it's not 10 years, it's only 20 times, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Twice a year for 10 years. So it just makes you be, number one, either more appreciative of that, of if two times a year is all that you can do, great. But how can you make the most out of it, right? Don't be on your phone. Don't create fights. If the crazy uncle comes creating fights, be like, bro, this is not needed right now. I just want to be happy and with the family. And if not, then dude, go an extra time with your family. Like go there for Father's Day, for their birthday, for whatever, right? I was talking with somebody today, and they asked me how many times do you go to Florida to see family? And I was like, well, I know for sure I go in May twice for Mother's Day and my dad's birthday, my mom's birthday, sometimes my own birthday to hang out with them, Father's Day, and a few weekends to surprise them and stuff like that. And I feel like that is really important, especially if you have a good relationship with them, right? Because they really appreciate it, and
Yeah,
grandparents even more.
for
Dude,
sure.
one day I called my grandma. She's in Peru, and so now I have it in my goals to call them. One, to call both of my grandmas over the weekends. And one time my grandma, she called me, or like I called her, and she was like, I am so happy that you called me. I like, it is a blessing talking to you, blah blah blah, right? She was super
Awesome.
happy, and we have a good relationship too. Sorry, for some reason the light, there we go. We have a good relationship too, with my grandma. We're on WhatsApp often and stuff like that. But that is something that I feel they appreciate it more than you think.
Oh, for sure, without a doubt. And because they know, they're getting closer to death. And that framework of only counting, or it's not how many years, it's how many times. And that was a game changer for me too. It's just like when you add up how often you see your parents or how often you talk to your grandparents, it's so much less than you think. And most of us, what do we want to do? We don't want to think about it because we fear it. And the second someone dies close in our life, all of a sudden it's like, boom, wow, life is so much shorter than we think it is. And I could be driving to where I'm going tonight, get hit by a car, and it's over instantly. And so I've always found the more I can be 100% in my present, not worrying about the future, not thinking about what I didn't do in the past, that's when I've come into the most fulfilled happiness I've ever been. And death is just this taboo topic that I personally try to think about daily now and remind myself that every day when I wake up, start with my gratitudes, that I'm just grateful to be here, and because our time here is just so limited. So, if anyone gets anything out of this, I would just remind everyone, just embrace death daily, and because you'll be so much more grateful for every second and every day that we have on this earth, because it ends instantly when we least expect it, to be honest.
Exactly. And if you're grateful, right, of the things that you have and are happy with those things, that you've enjoyed the journey, then I feel like you've lived a fulfilled life. But one thing, because a lot of people begin to focus just on like on their goals and like everything, and they begin to like maybe think that they're gonna be happy when they reach something.
Yeah.
One quote that I found that I love came from Hal Elrod, who said, "Be happy with the life that you have as you're pursuing the life of your dreams." Feel like being happy is a choice, and when you look around you, right? Number one, too, we're in the country, the United States, where there's a lot of opportunity. So being in this country is like we're super lucky, super fortunate, super blessed. Now it's more like, because if we compare with other countries that are struggling and all this other stuff, it makes it much more difficult. But happiness, going back to that, uh, I feel like by being grateful, like what you're talking about, like having gratitude, I feel like it makes you more aware, and then you begin to play, like lead your life in a way where like the frequency of gratefulness, you just open yourself up for more opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. One of my newest favorite quotes I keep saying over and over and over again every day is, how do you get everything you want? You want everything you already have. And how do you want everything you already have? You become grateful on a daily basis for what you have. And then, you get out of this frame of this wanting and desiring, which, as great as America and the US is, like, we've created a culture of want and desire. And so, 99% of us don't live happy with where we're at because we're always wanting something more. And so I can't just stress how important it is to just be grateful for what you already have, because then you already have everything you already want. Does that mean I don't want or does that mean I'm not open to getting a jet and flying around like David Osborne? Yeah, I'm open to it, but I don't need it or want it to feel fulfilled in my life, because I already know I have everything I want, because I want everything I already have. It's just been a game changer. I was going to pivot one more time real quick to some other fears.
Yes.
About.
Give me 1 second, because I need to, one of my buddies, give me 1 second. And we might have to come back to this. If not, give me just 1 second. I'm going to see if he can give me 5 more minutes.
Yeah, no worries. Anyways, I was talking about death. And I also went through a bunch of death when I was early. 2 years in a row or 3 years in a row, my grandma died, my uncle died, my mom died. And I always try to remind myself that the way I'm living my life should be in remembrance of them. So opposed to being sad frustrated and upset and grieving not having them here. I need to celebrate their life by living my life to its fullest potential.
Exactly.
Because yeah, all those things happened for me, not to me. My mom wrote me a bunch of letters. My mom wrote me letters from every birthday from 1 to 18, and I didn't open them until I was like 24 or 25 after she passed away.
Oh
And
shit.
letters, yeah. And it's crazy because it's like she's literally the things she's writing are the things that have come to fruition, but I hadn't even looked at them until long after her passing because it took me a super long time to deal with my mom's death. And I think that's happens to a lot of us is we don't actually process the fact that they're not here anymore. We just sweep it under the rug and don't acknowledge like that they're gone and we don't get to see them anymore. And it's just not something that's easy to do. It took me like 8 years for me to ever even go visit my mom's grave, you know? And now, you know, I'll process things so much faster because I've found, you know, the quicker I can deal with those fears, the better everything ends up being on the other side. I've never leaned into a fear fast or quick and then been upset that I moved so fast. Every time I've leaned into it, I'm so much happier on the other side. And so I've just taken that mindset to just shift into that, leaning into my fears immediately, because I'm just so much happier every freaking time I do that.
Yeah, dude. No.
What did your friend say?
He said that we have 2 more minutes. So I have to do a live with him at 6:20. So I have 2 more minutes before I have to go. But dude, these types of conversations, these are like freaking awesome. I'm totally be down to do another one of these where we just talk about life and like fears and everything, because this is something that I feel like a lot of people think about it, but they don't talk about it.
Yeah, well, let's do it because I got some other really good questions to put you on the spot. And I love that you're so open and vulnerable. I love you. I love everything you've done. I think your story is freaking amazing. And dude, don't stop doing what you're doing. And I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you showing up every week in our GoPod. And I can't express my gratitude that I have for you joining me and coming onto the call.
No, bro, I really appreciate it, and yeah, these types of conversations really make you think, and I feel like the more open that you are, the more that you get, and you're also one of the people that just talks about like that's willing to share everything about you too, your fears, your limitations, your obstacles, your challenges, and I feel like the more that we're open, right, to sharing those things, the more that we're also open to receiving. If we don't, like, it's sort of like it's like when you give to somebody, right? It's better to give to somebody when you're open hands so that you can also receive.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you are the one person too that, like, as you're sharing your story, as you're sharing about your fears and your limitations and all that stuff, you do it like this, and it creates opportunity to receive.
Totally agree. All right, well, let's do it again soon.
All right.
I got some good questions, and we're going to do it again soon. I'm super happy that everyone tuned in. I hope some people got some good information about this. And stay tuned and stay on Diego's live so you can keep following him. He needs more followers, and he's doing awesome things.
And you too, dude. Quality Builders Inc. Builder,
Yeah.
he's a builder in Chicago. So definitely, if you guys need help with real estate or anything, reach out to him. He's solid.
All right. Peace out, Diego.
Peace.